I was talking about William Panzarella a couple of times earlier this morning, a researcher and a constitutionalist, author of a book titled A Place They Called America. William, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Brad.
You know, I'm delighted that you're on with me and my radio audience this morning. You know, when I think of that title, A Place They Called America, meaning that America is that was the place before now. What did you mean by that title?
Well, Brad, I think you hit it on the head. I think if somebody was in a coma for the last even 25 years and they woke up today, they would probably see America as unrecognizable. America is being transformed right now. Our founding principles, which is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, as being destroyed one by one.
You know, William, I agree with you, but I tell my radio audience, and I feel so strongly about this country that I just think it will always be the United States of America, that we as a people will not allow that to happen. That's just my opinion.
It is my opinion, too, and I by no means saying that it's too late and it cannot be changed back. And I believe most of my book, especially the second half, is about how we can go about changing it back.
What are some of the things? I'm anxious to hear it from you, because you are a researcher, a constitutionalist. What are some of the things that really, really bother you?
Well, the term oligarchy is most often used in Russia to state, elitists trying to control the populace. But I really believe that there's basically a global oligarchy, but it consists of many in America at the highest echelons of power. And by no means am I saying that every politician or every, billionaire has nefarious thoughts or actions. That's not the case. But there are those that want to control America and control the world. And in order to control the world, let's face it, you must first control America.
That's right. That's right. And what are some of the things now that you see in your position that this is happening to America?
Well, I think to control any free society, especially the United States, there's certain things you have to do. One is indoctrination of the youth, which is going on now, because the youth is the future, and in order to control the future, you must control the youth. I also believe there's a strong push to divide and conquer the people. There's also a push to disarm the populace, and also, as seen in the NSA and also other federal agencies, to spy on and monitor the citizens of the United States.
Well, that is going on. We already know that. But as far as disarming, I've made the statement to my radio audience, if they ever try to do this, if they ever try to disarm America when we have a legal right under the Constitution to own a gun, if that is our desire. And I said several times, if they ever try to do this, there'll be a revolution here.
I do believe that if they try to do that, all at once, but it has been done. It was done after Katrina, when people who needed to arm themselves in the most vulnerable states, federal agents went into some of the worst affected areas and physically took guns away from law-abiding citizens.
That was Katrina.
Yes.
And you feel that they will do it again?
If need be. If need be. But I think more than just force, they're doing it rewriting the laws. You look at President Obama's new executive order, basically again, where I bring up the Constitution, bypassing the Constitution.
Yep, you're right.
We all know that the president does not have the power to make laws. That rests with Congress.
And again, other presidents have done it, but it hasn't been like this. And I'm very honest here. All I have to do is listen to my radio audience. They're very, very upset with a lot of this. I've got the question though: will an administrative change will that do any good? I mean, no matter who's elected, will it do any good?
Well, I think that's the problem, Brett. And it's the two-party system is broken beyond repair, and I really believe that there needs to be a third party. And I'm not talking about an offshoot of a specific party. For instance, the Tea Party, and I'm certainly not saying anything negative about the Tea Party. I'm just using them as an example because they're the most known offshoot of an existing party. There needs to be a third party, and the first thing that people usually say when you mention that is, well, that's going to take too long. But it needs to be started, and I believe that actually now is the best time for that to start because many brave men and women have recently returned home from the proving grounds of Iraq and Afghanistan. And I think that this party should be started and spearheaded by those people.
Now, I'm going to throw this out to you. What do you think of Donald Trump? Let me just give you a little background here. When I mentioned his name, this was a long time ago, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. And I can say right now that whenever I talk about Trump, there's overwhelming support for him from this particular audience, and I understand around the country there is too. What do you think?
Well, I think all polls show that. And obviously he's polarizing on whether you like him or not. I think he's hit a chord with the American people, and he talks in plain language a lot of things that the American people want to see. The one thing I would say, though, is I would like to see him get more specific with his plans and ideas. Now,
you mentioned third party. He claims he wouldn't do that, but would you say someone as powerful, and he is, whether you like him or not, he's got a certain something. He gets thousands out whenever he speaks. Would somebody like that be the type that would be successful as a third-party candidate? I don't mean win right away, but to start that third party that you happen to think is something that we need here in the United States.
I do believe he would. But also, I believe that the third party, and when I say third party, I'm not speaking of independents. So I think that the third party really has to start at even the local levels of government and work its way up. But of course, I believe that Trump would certainly work well with a third party. But I reiterate again that I think that most of the third party has to begin with and spearheaded by, some of our brave service members, men and women, who, not only put in their time and risk their lives, but are, obviously some of the most extremely intelligent people out there.
But you believe that we definitely do need a third party?
I do, because it's been proven that no matter who is president, at least recently, it's politics as usual. Certain policies might change, it might be different, and certainly I think the way our both allies and enemies look at us might be different, but in the end, in Washington, it's politics as usual. It's politicians on both sides of the aisle making promises that the people are so disgruntled now because they know that they will not keep.
William Panzarella, researcher, constitutionalist. Now, how do we get your book?
Well, you can go onto my website at William Panzarella. That's PANZARELLA.com, or you can go to Amazon.com. It's also available on Kindle.
A place they called America. William, I thank you very, very much. You've brought up some ideas, and I've heard, I've heard some of these same ideas from my radio audience over the past year. People are waiting for something. I don't know if we all know exactly what it is, but again, I just strongly believe that America is the greatest in the world and always will be, but, change sometimes is responsibility to uphold greatness.
I could not agree with you more.
William, thank you so much for being with me this morning.
Thank you so much, and God bless America.